Hi, welcome to Biblical Foundations 101, and my name is Brother Jimmy Hayes. The subject today is how I was able to stop my daughter from being taught evolution in the 9th grade in the Ambridge Area School District. Back in October of 2016, I was able to read her biology textbook. And upon reading it, I saw chapter 15 was about evolution and Darwinism. So when I read this, I had written a lengthy letter to her biology teacher. I have the letter right here, okay? So what I did was, I wrote a letter. I have it right here, and I sent this to her teacher. And this letter, if anybody would want it, email me, and I will email it to you. And then you have free rights to change whatever you want in it. Okay, but I'm going to read this letter to you. Now, in her book, it said the heading was Evolution, What Discoveries Lie Ahead. And that's how I headed my letter. But then I wrote, let's be honest, I'm an upfront, honest guy. Evolution isn't science, it's religion. It's the religion of secular humanism, the atheist. Evolution doesn't even meet the qualifications for a theory, it's a hypothesis at best. The definition of science is knowledge gained through observation, and it must be testable in laboratory settings. To prove I'm not a fool, not to bore you, I'll explain the difference between a hypothesis and a theory. A hypothesis is an idea. The idea must be tested and observed in a laboratory until the desired result is accomplished. At that time, the experiment must be repeated and observed in several independent laboratories. When and if the desired result of the hypothesis is observed and confirmed in independent laboratories, the hypothesis becomes a theory. On that ground, evolutionism is nothing more than a hypothesis. People say, we see scientists experiment on flies in the lab all the time. Isn't that proof? No. The fruit fly is the perfect specimen to experiment on. Due to its short lifespan, scientists can observe hundreds of thousands of generations of flies, subjecting them to all kinds of terrible treatment, radiation, chemicals, and genetic experiments. Unfortunately for scientists, all they have ever observed is a fly. Scientists cannot make a fruit fly be anything other than what it is. It may be deformed, missing wings, legs, maybe even having extra, but it's a fly. The religion. To truly believe in evolution, one must embrace the whole theory, not just microevolution, slowly turning into macroevolution like the public schools are forced to macroevolution like the public schools are forced to teach, or should I say indoctrinate. I'll start at the top. Cosmic evolution, what they call the Big Bang. Cosmic evolution, the Big Bang. The best scientists can tell. They hypothesize that 14 billion years ago there was a singularity. A singularity is a point at which function takes an infinite value, especially in space-time, when matter is infinitely dense, as at the center of a black hole. This singularity, this infinite, unobservable, unprovable, infinitely dense thing that scientists have no proof ever existed, exploded. Now, if you want to believe that the universe began this way, that's fine. You can believe it. But that's not science. It's faith. This sounds impressive. There's not a single shred of evidence. Even the redshift has been called into question due to Halton Arp's discovery of a connected pair of quasars with two vastly different redshifts. The truth is that I love science. I love watching shows like The Universe, but they're CGI of the universe and what it's like out there. But we don't know anything. If you choose to believe the Big Bang, it's a choice based on no scientific fact. Number 2 is chemical evolution. The Big Bang supposedly created large amounts of hydrogen and some helium. This singularity this place of infinitely dense matter exploded and created gas. Infinitely dense matter has never been observed, let alone it exploded into gas form. Again, anyone is free to believe this, but it's not scientific. If you must believe it, then it's based on faith. Number 3, stellar and planetary evolution. The evolutionary theory claims that from hydrogen and helium, the first stars somehow formed. As these stars were nova, they supposedly created the heavier elements. They created the bigger stars that made the heavier elements, and so on. As novas and supernovas happened, these heavier elements created the planets, and at some time had to have created the compounds that evolutionary scientists would claim billions of years later, through their impossible RNA world theory, just another hypothesis, would spawn all life on Earth. The truth today is that us, as a race, the human race, have never seen a star be born. The Discovery Channel shows us really cool computer-generated images of stars being born and their planets forming around them. It's never been observed. Everything we see on the Discovery Channel comes straight out of someone's imagination. The truth is, we aren't even sure how many planets are in our own solar system. Again, if someone wants to believe that the stars and planets are all evolved from hydrogen and some helium gas, that's fine. It's not science, it's faith. Organic evolution, the origin of life. Number 4. To my knowledge, the latest theory, again, in reality, a hypothesis, the RNA, ribonucleic acid world. This theory can be rather deep. However, to make it short, somehow scientists want us to believe that somehow in the waters of the earth, RNA was somehow introduced. There are 2 problems with this. First, DNA and RNA are very similar. However, RNA is much more fragile. In the human body, it is known that strands of DNA break up to 1,000,000 times a day. However, DNA has the ability to repair itself. RNA does not. The other apparent secret, because it's rarely mentioned, is that RNA always needs a protein. Along with the fact that RNA is very fragile, the RNA world theory for origins of life on Earth will be numerically impossible. Even if all the conditions fell perfectly into place with the RNA somehow in a working protein, would also have to be somehow created itself in this water world and join with the RNA, and somehow without being first destroyed, self-replicate. This actually falls under Borel's law, the law named after the mathematician Emile Borel. If someone wants to believe this, against all odds, feel free, but it's certainly not science, it's faith. Number 5, macroevolution, the lie. This is the big one. Here's where the teaching stops and the indoctrination begins. I can simply say that if Charles Darwin were alive today, he wouldn't believe in the theory named after him. Darwin himself was relying on fossil evidence, the true intermediary fossil, to be dug up. He expected it within the next 100 years, after his passing. But contrary to anything that anyone says, there has never been a single intermediary fossil animal ever found. We can go to museums and see an artist's representations of what they think an entire animal looked like, often from a few small bones. I've studied this subject for 9 years, and I can't begin to tell you the lies and hoaxes that people do to keep the evolutionary worldview alive. The geologic column that is taught in the textbooks doesn't even exist anywhere on Earth but in perhaps 3 places. The whole dating system, even today, is based on circular reasoning. Geologists use what are called index fossils. They assume the age of these fossils by how deep they find them. When they want to know the age of the rock strata, they determine that by the fossils that they find there. They date the fossils. They date the fossils by the rock and the rock by the fossils. It's nonsense. There has never there has never, ever been a fossil found of one animal evolving into another, an intermediary fossil. For example, several fossils of a cow-like animal where the legs are turning into flippers. I'll explain why this simply is impossible, and to be completely honest, outright silly, if any deep thought is put into it. Any animal, whether coming from the sea to the land or the land to the sea, the animal would become extinct before transformation finished. Cows with flippers. There should be billions of transitional animal fossils. Any honest evolutionary scientist would admit. And excuse me. And I have some on DVD. They don't have any. This is also where the argument between uniformitarianism and catastrophism is fought. Anyone with any knowledge of the outdoors knows that nothing fossilizes in nature unless it is rapidly buried. The slaughter of the American bison on the Great Plains 150 years ago by the white man is proof of this. There's not a fossil to be found. The massive number of fossils found worldwide support only one view of the world's history, catastrophism. And then number 6, microevolution. This is speciation. This I agree with. This is what Darwin observed. Big beak, little beak, still a bird. Animals and humans have the ability within our DNA to adapt. There are many species of dog. They're all dogs. They can't breed with any other animal other than a dog. It's the same with every kind of animal on the planet. What is a kind? If the animals can breed naturally, they are the same kind of animal. I'm sorry, excuse me. Are there many kinds of animals? And from those kinds, due to the incredible flexibility of DNA, millions of species have made this planet their home. I am asking, due to my family's deep respect in the Bible, that my daughter not be taught the theory of evolution. I am asking, please, I do not wish any issues. Not for her or my family. I have made my daughter very aware of the theory. I understand what is taught well. We choose not to believe in the scientists who, as I believe, I proved here.
I can take it. I got this.
Really don't. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyways, I just went on to explain. I gave her my phone number and I said, I don't want any problems, okay? Now, she did call me and, I told her that, I don't want any problems. But on top of that, okay, I also have, and this is where, you find it here. I purchased this book through Ken Hoven's old website. But you can get it, I'm sure, online. Anyway, this is the name of the book, Students' Legal Rights on the Public School Campus. Let me find here. Where they don't have the right to teach you. You actually have the right to exclude your children from, okay, here we go. The right to exempt, okay? This is the right to exempt. It's called the Hatch Amendment, okay? Being exempt, again, it's called Students' Legal Rights on a Public School Campus by J.W. Brinkley with K.C. Crump. This is from the Supreme Court. They do not have the right. They have to offer another course. And that's what they did in Amherst School District. Just for that brief time when they were teaching this. For my daughter. My main point here is just to prove, okay, that if you are a Christian and you do not want your children, let me explain something. 3 out of 4 children are being lost to the faith today because of the theory of evolution. Because evolution is not biblical. It destroys the creation story. And here's the thing, Jesus speaks of creation because he believed in it, okay? Now, if Jesus believed in it, and children are taught not to believe in it, then that makes Jesus a liar. Okay, well, this is a problem, okay? You don't have to agree with me, okay? All I'm trying to say is for those out there who don't want their children exposed to the theory of evolution, you have tools. The ACLU, Jay Sekulo's organization, a letter like what I can email you, this book, Students' Legal Rights on a Public School Campus. You have rights. I don't want you to think that you don't. And I was able to, surprisingly, without a war. I mean, I was expecting a war, but it was easy. The teacher was very polite, and you know, it was a small victory. So that's what I wanted to say here. God bless everybody. You can reach me at biblicalfoundations101@gmail.com. If you want a copy of this letter that I wrote, then I will send it to you. May God bless you. Till we meet you again.